Coming up on Broncos Weekend, Denver looks to ring in the new year with a victory over the Chargers in their final home game of the season.
I can just assure you one thing. I'm just interested in winning.
Jarrett Stidham is getting his first shot at starting for the Orange and Blue. What should we expect?
I've had my routine that I stick with, that I know gets me prepared, gets me ready to play, and that's what I'm going to do.
And the Broncos defense seeks a repeat performance against LA as Denver goes for the season sweep.
It's going to be important, too, to just end this on a positive at home. There's been ups and downs throughout this season.
We chat with Captain Mike McGlinchey inside the locker room and offer our keys to victory. That's next on Broncos Weekend. Hello and Happy New Year. Thank you so much for joining us on Broncos Weekend. I am Phil Milani alongside the Hall of Famer, Steve Atwater, and Super Bowl 50 champ, Ryan Harris. It's been a busy week around here, guys. And our main story this week is obviously the change at quarterback. Steve, what was your reaction to the move this week?
Well, knowing the effect that quarterbacks have on teams and the influence they have over other players, the coaches had to think long and hard about this before they did it. You don't know how much time went into this. I would imagine, they've been contemplating this for a while. They finally made that decision, and man, it really is a shocker, but it's not a shocker.
And the biggest thing, no matter what right now, can Jarrett Stidham find a way to be a leader and to lead the other guys in the huddle to believe he can help them win a game? They call him Stidsy, as they told us in the preseason. Can he play well and get those guys to believe in him on offense?
Yeah, Sean said that he's hoping that this will provide a spark for the Broncos offense because, certainly the last couple of weeks, this offense just hasn't been playing good enough.
I'm anxious to see how the guys are going to respond. Are they going to feel like, hey, the coach is giving up on the season, he took our starting quarterback out? Or are they going to say, man, we should have did this a few weeks ago, right? It'll be interesting to see how the players respond to this change.
Now, one way or another, you got to applaud Sean Payton for trying to do something different. Steve and I have been in a locker room when all of a sudden the coach, you're going down a bad path, and the coach is like, we're not going to change anything. You're sitting there as a player saying, all right, well, great, nothing's going to change. But Sean Payton felt that the team needed to have some kind of spark, made that change, and now you got a tremendous opportunity. If you also can see production from Jerry Jeudy and others who can start to build, Marvin Mims Jr., now you know. But you also know if they don't, what you need in the offseason. So this has a lot of benefits to making this decision.
And I think it sends a message to everyone else that, look, we're doing this with our starting quarterback. So every other position, if you're not playing up to your potential, this is going to potentially happen to you as well.
Yeah, it's going to be a big couple of weeks here for the Broncos. This week, Sean Payton explained what went into this decision.
The number one push behind this, and it's a decision I'm making, is to, get a spark offensively. Obviously, it's difficult, and all of us feel like, man, we didn't do well enough. But one of the things we saw when we signed Stidham in the offseason was not only film from preseason games, but regular season games. And, he's a guy that, I'm anxious to see play. And if I didn't feel like he gave us the chance to win, then we wouldn't be making that move.
So the Broncos looking for a spark on offense. What should we expect from Jarrett Stidham, Steve?
Well, I would say some of the things that Sean Payton offenses are known for. First off, you're going to have to establish the run game. We know that. But also on-time throws, more intermediate passes in the middle of the field, and just really stuff happening with timing, with accurate timing. And hopefully we'll be able to move the ball a little bit. The offense will be able to move that ball a little bit more.
Even in the play calls, in the huddle, when you have a new quarterback, they can really inspire you with their energy, their focus, and who they're talking to. So you're going to get a different leader in Jarrett Stidham, and also you're going to get somebody who has familiarity in this offense. He did well as the preseason went on. They loved in preseason what he did in practice more than he did in the preseason games. But he's going to take some shots downfield. He's going to give guys opportunities. He sees the field build well. I've liked Stidham ever since he was in college. So he's a good quarterback with the best opportunity of his career to make himself a starting quarterback in the NFL.
Yeah, just his third career start. But last year, started a couple of games in almost an identical situation in Las Vegas. Had a great game against the 49ers last year. 49ers were the top defense in the NFL at that point. And Steve, this offseason, Sean Payton said getting a guy like Jarrett Stidham was a big priority.
Yeah, it definitely was a big priority. And, we got to be patient with him as well. I mean, he's going to try to thread some needles. He's going to try to put the ball in some places where we haven't seen it thrown this year. And, he may throw a pick or two. But, hey, you got to have patience and see how it all pans out in the end.
You need a backup quarterback that can win you games. And we're seeing in the NFL today how many teams who didn't plan for a backup quarterback, where they're struggling. So hats off to Sean Payton for knowing you have to have a backup quarterback. Of course, the year we won the Super Bowl, Brock Osweiler came in, went 5-2. It was a huge boost for our home field advantage. So you need that type of player, and they have that in Stidham. And it's time for Stidham to shine. He's got no excuse. He knows the offense. Let's go, boys. He's got to be excited.
Yeah, he has to be excited, and he's hoping to provide that spark that the Broncos have been looking for on offense.
I mean, I don't think I need to overthink it. Just do what I'm coached to do. We have a great staff and a great group of guys around me. So I'm just going to do my job to the best of my ability, do the certain things that I need to do on each and every play, and move the ball down the field and hopefully score a lot of points and get a win.
Jarrett Stidham was the 7th quarterback taken in the 2009 draft. The next quarterback selected, the Chargers' Easton Stick. The Broncos defense was able to get after him a couple of weeks ago, and they'll look to do the same this Sunday. For more, here's Denver 7's Troy Rank with our matchup of the game.
The end of this season for the Broncos has not played out as we expected. They still have faint playoff hopes, but one thing I would like to see is this defense finish strong, particularly the pass rush. Now, if we look back on this year, that 5-game winning streak that revived the season was on the basis of a defense that was absolutely getting after it, including the pass rush from all areas. But can Baron Browning, if he gets cleared from the concussion protocol, and Jonathan Cooper, maybe even Nick Bonito, can they have a big day against the Chargers? We all think back to that SoFi game where Broncos won for the first time at that stadium. That pass rush was relentless. Cooper and Browning both made big plays. Browning had a play that led to an interception for Cooper. Remember in that game, Browning had 4 tackles chasing around both Justin Herbert and Easton Stick. And you look at the production over the last month. Browning only has a half sack over his last 5 games. I would love to see him finish full speed over that finish line because of everything he's went through. He had to have that surgery on his knee that slowed this season, but he has had a way to make an impact. Love to see him put an exclamation point on his season. And Jonathan Cooper, folks, people don't realize he has arguably been the Broncos' most steady defensive edge player. He leads the team in sacks with 7.5. He's shown he can hold the edge in the run game. And here is a guy that's got a chance for double-figure sacks. That is something that I think is important for this edge rusher group. Nick Bonito was on that pace, but he's dealt with injury, missed some game now with the knee injury. Can he rebound as well? Maybe he gets to 10. It's a little tougher for him. He's at 7. But we know the pass rush works in sync with coverage. And with Easton Stick, this is a guy who's young to the game, making only his 3rd start. You're asking, who is he? From North Dakota State. He played there with Carson Wentz. That year they won their 5th straight national championship. At one point, Trey Lance was the backup for Easton Stick at North Dakota State. Now he's showing more of that mobility that he's getting a chance to play. We're seeing some of that mobility he showed in college last week, 7 rushes. So the Broncos edge guys have to account for that with Kellen Moore and that type of system. But this is a chance in their last home game to make a statement as edge rushers. Go out, pad the stats, keep those playoff hopes alive.
Thank you very much, Troy. Good stuff there. This defense, really sort of an up and down season. Rough start, certainly that Miami game. But then during the 5-game winning streak, they created all these takeaways. And then the last couple of weeks, not so great. Steve, how can they finish strong?
Well, man, they got to get back to the basics, man. They got to get back to bringing the noise and playing full speed and being physical. I think they have it in them. And thinking back to the last time we played the Chargers, they had 7 sacks that game. They were really bringing it. So I think that muscle memory will come back, and they'll be confident they can go out there and do it again. Nick Bonito, Jonathan Cooper, got to be ready to pick it up and do it again.
Let's be clear. This Broncos defense has lost their edge. I mean, and the only difference between having an edge and not is deciding you're going to take the space that's given to you. There was no reason why a 3-11 Patriots team comes in and throws and runs the football the way they did without you missing your mindset that you're going to take every inch and fill every hole so they have nowhere to go. This is a total attitude situation, which is great for the Broncos defense. That's the easiest thing to change. You decide during the week it's not going to happen in the game, and you prove it for 4 quarters. So they got a great opportunity to bounce back.
The Broncos look to turn things around. It's time for us to take a quick break, though. When we come back, we go one-on-one with Mike McGlinchey inside the Broncos locker room. Plus, we'll have our bold predictions. That's still to come on Broncos Weekend.
We have a lot to play for still. You know, the season's not over. And we still have a lot to play for, so we have to make sure we go out there and play at our best, because we still haven't shown that yet. And I know we can play better as a team and collectively, and we have to make sure we do that on Sunday.
And you'll hear the roar.
I'll tell you what, it also shows Gary Kubiak is committed to winning. He wasn't locked into Peyton Manning, and he's not locked into Brock Osweiler. His best chance is putting Peyton Manning under center.
Our memorable matchup this week is from 2015, also Week 17 at home against the Chargers. A 27-20 victory after a QB change. Peyton Manning replaced Brock Osweiler in the third quarter, scored 20 points to help Denver secure the top seed. And our key stat, pretty straightforward this week. We heard Sean Payton bring it up about protecting the football. The Broncos are 0-7 when they lose the turnover battle and 7-1 when they win it. We're back on Broncos Weekend. Phil Milani alongside Steve Atwater and Ryan Harris. Ryan, tell me about when Peyton Manning came back in like that.
Well, first of all, nobody told us. So we're in the huddle and we hear the crowd getting loud. We're like, what's going on? We turn and here comes the sheriff jogging in. And it was nuts because we had a pass check to a run to the right. And right away at the line of scrimmage, he changed it to a run to the left. We got a first down, and we were like, oh, we're winning the Super Bowl. We're not going to win this game. We're going to win the Super Bowl. It was an unbelievable time, and really everyone on that team, we had a ton of respect for how Peyton Manning handled getting healthy, and the fact that he came in right away and changed to a play that wasn't even called, it showed his belief in us. It was a magical moment and one that made a big difference for that year.
Man, that gives me chills, man.
It's unbelievable.
That's a great feeling.
That whole stadium erupted. You're right. I mean, that was sort of a magical moment there. All right, let's get some bold predictions. Steve, let's start with you.
Hey, man, Jerry Jeudy coming out there.
Okay.
All right.
100 yards receiving by Jerry Jeudy, also defense. Justin Simmons back on the board with another pick.
Yes.
3 turnovers for the defense. Ooh. Let's go.
I got 2 sacks, 2 turnovers, and 2 touchdowns by Jarrett Stidham. I think he's going to have a good game. Defenses don't really know how to prepare for him. They haven't seen a lot of him. He's gotten better since the preseason. He knows the calls. He's going to want to be himself. This is going to be a fun game. So I got 2 sacks, 2 interceptions, 2 touchdowns.
All right.
And he said it makes a big difference knowing you're the starter at the beginning of the week.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
He's got the whole week to prepare as a starter, so we'll see if that makes a difference. The Broncos will definitely be leaning on their leaders this week, including Mike McGlinchey. He's with Sidney Jones inside the Broncos locker room, brought to you by Colorado State University. Find your energy.
Thanks, Phil. We're inside the locker room here with tackle Mike McGlinchey. Mike, given the news this week, what are your thoughts on Jarrett Stidham getting the start this weekend versus the Chargers?
I'm so excited for him. It's a great opportunity for him, and I know he's going to do great. He's done a lot of good things throughout his limited career, and so excited for him to finally get a shot and see what he can do out there. And the whole locker room here fully believes in him and his capabilities, and I've seen him do a lot of damage to some pretty good teams, and excited to be in front of him this time.
I know head coach Sean Payton said he's hoping, Jarrett will help get that spark on offense. So what have you seen from him at practice throughout the week?
You know what? I think he's been doing a great job. I think he's got a really good command of what we're doing. He works so hard at it. He's one of the first in, last out kind of guys, and he has been in the other role, and now I'm sure even more so in this role. And he's got a great command for things and knows football. It should translate to the field on Sunday.
Mike, I know you've talked a lot about this offense just needing to be more consistent, getting back into that rrhythm. What's kind of the key to that, specifically for the offensive line this Sunday?
Just doing our job, just executing the best of our ability. Hear the play call and go. Just do your job. You can't do anything more than that. You just got for us up front, you got to block the guy you're assigned to block. Everybody else has to do their job, and all 11 guys have to be on the same page. And once we get that, and the consistency of doing that over and over and over again, the success will come.
Given where the Broncos sit in the playoff picture, what's kind of the focus here for the final 2 weeks of the season?
The same as it always is. Be a pro and control what you can control. That's been Sean's focus all year. It's always been next play. It's always been focus on what's in front of you. Be where your feet are, and I think that's the only message you can have moving forward. You have to be a professional about this. Obviously, a little adversity hit the last couple weeks, but if you have pride for what you do, if you have pride for who you are as a player and as a teammate, you go out and give it your all these next 2 weeks.
Mike, really appreciate your time.
Yep, thank you.
Phil, I'll send it back to you.
Thank you very much, Sydney. We're back here at the desk. Take us inside the locker room. We touched on it a little bit earlier in the show, but Steve, when there's a quarterback change like this, what does it do for the other players?
Well, not only are the guys teammates, they're also friends. And, when this happens to one of your brothers, one of your friends, sometimes some of the guys who are really close to him, they may take it the wrong way. In the end, I firmly believe that Sean Payton has a pulse of this locker room, and the guys, for the most part, will respond.
First and foremost, it's awkward. Steve and I will both tell you that. It's awkward when someone loses their job. If somebody you knew lost their job, it'd be awkward too, whether you're the friend, whether you're the person, and everything changes. So the biggest thing is the coaches just to get guys focused on the game plan, something that they can all talk about when they go to that locker room where it is weird and it is awkward.
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, I think that you heard that from a lot of the guys in the locker room. Hey, we're trying to pick up Russ a little bit here, but we know that there's still a job to do. So I think both of you guys spot on there with what the atmosphere is like right now. It's time for us to take our final break. When we come back, if you're still playing in fantasy football, congrats to you for making it so far. We'll pick a Bronco you might want to start, and we'll also have our keys to victory. That's next on Broncos Weekend.
Just getting a full week under my belt, with the ones and them getting used to me getting used to them, it's nothing but helpful. I've always had a lot of confidence in myself. That's never wavered or anything. And like I said, I lean a lot on the guys around me. I'm only one guy, and this is a 11-man sport. So
I think to get a true evaluation and to see what he can do, I mean, he needs to play, but I'm hopeful it gives us a spark. I'm hopeful that we do some other things better. And, it's not just going to be on him. The O-line, the receivers, the running backs, those guys are going to have to play well.
Sean Payton is looking for the entire offense to step up this week against the Chargers. And if they do that, it could be a big fantasy game for kicker Will Lutz. For more, here's Sydney Jones with our Fantasy Focus.
Thanks, Phil. For this week's Fantasy Focus, let's take a look at kicker Will Lutz. Lutz has had a solid season so far this year as he's made 90% of his field goal attempts and is averaging 7.5 fantasy points per game in PPR leagues this season. He also has the fourth most kicking points among all kickers since 2016 with 888. And prior to his performance versus Patriots last Sunday, Lutz hadn't missed a field goal attempt in 6 straight games. So look to get back on track this Sunday versus the Chargers. So if you're looking for a kicker, Will Lutz is definitely a good option for your lineup this week. And for all of you who are playing in your league's championship this weekend, best of luck to you. Phil, I'll send it back.
Thank you very much, Sydney. Let's talk about where the focus should be, Ryan. The playoff picture a little bit muddled. Broncos actually can still win the division if some things go right. But what should be the focus this week?
Winning this game. I mean, last week you had winning the playoffs on the table. Didn't work out. You need to win this game. And the way you do it is by communicating and having an elite production with your elite mindset. That's what has to happen. So it's not about the playoffs. You can't focus on that. Clearly the team wasn't mature enough to handle that conversation. Win this game this weekend. That's all the focus is.
I think that's the focus every weekend. That's what this focus should be. It should not be the playoffs. You should not be looking forward to playing the Raiders. No, you got to look at this game right here in front of you. The Chargers are going to come in here. They played really well against the Buffalo Bills last week, and they're going to come in here with some confidence. And we got to be ready to play. We got to be ready to step up, meet those guys in the hole, get them going, run over some people. get some sacks. We got to do it all. We got to be elite when we step on that field on Sunday.
And you got to always remember, division games are different. Does not matter what your record is. Steve and I will tell you, you play a division team. I don't know what it is about us as players, but you start thinking there's no way we're letting the team in our division win. So this is going to be a tough battle, physical, and you got to be prepared for that. And you have to decide right now that you own the Los Angeles Chargers, and then you got to prove it with your play.
Yeah, and this week, Sean Payton even said sometimes you learn how to not lose games. You know, a lot of games are lost, not won. And so it's sort of a maturation process here with this Broncos team. Steve, let's get some keys to victory.
Key to victory, I would say focus. You know, focus on this game. Keep your head in the game, knowing that we got to win this one play at a time. And also, I say our offense, we got to put up 24 points. We got 24 points to get the job done. Let's do it.
Number one, don't think that a change at quarterback is going to change your performance individually unless you do the work. That's the first thing you got to understand. And then when it comes to beating the Chargers, you got to do two things. Stop Austin Eckler, and you got to block Khalil Mack. I mean, those are the two players. Austin Eckler, to his credit, playing phenomenal, even though they got nothing to play for, running hard behind a great left tackle and a couple of pieces on that offensive line. And then Khalil Mack is that guy. I know from being knocked over by him myself, you got to block him. He's going to play 4 quarters. There's no record in the way those guys play, so you got to make sure that you're doing the work to improve your performance, and you take care of the 2 best players on offense and defense for the Chargers.
Yeah, the Broncos did a nice job against Khalil the
last
first
game.
matchup,
Yeah.
so I'm sure he'll be hungry to
I was
be
going to
like,
say,
hey.
I bet you he remembers that, and he wants to change that narrative.
Exactly. So they'll be hungry coming in this one. The Broncos could get to 3 division wins for just the second time since the Super Bowl. So
always playing for something.
Yeah, exactly. All right, well, that's going to do it for us. Our thanks to Troy Rank and Sidney Jones, and us here at the desk, Ryan Harris, Steve Atwater. I am Phil Milani. Hope that you all have a happy New Year, and thank you so much for watching Broncos Weekend.